some ASMR before we start.
Oh, here we go. Hi everyone, and welcome back to this week's Remind podcast. My name's David Masterton, and I'm joined by Dr. Ashleigh Moreland, and today we're talking about everyone's either hated or most favourite subject, which is AI. With everything that's going on in the news about it, the amount of press it's getting and how the technology is moving and flowing. But we're going to be talking about it in the sense of, can AI help you in healing, help you with your mental space, the pros, the cons, the pitfalls, the everything, all about it. And I don't know about you, Ash, but on my social media, there seems to be a couple of polarizing views, some that are very for it and some that are rather against it. So I know I've got my views about it, and but what's your thought on AI helping with mental health?
Okay, I have not given thought to this until you said you wanted to record on it. So this is just riffing right now.
Love a good jam.
Yeah, the benefits that I see is accessibility. So this is one of the reasons why at Remind we move towards having programs that are self-paced and available immediately, because it's literally all the same IP. It's essentially the framework that I would take people through. If I was working with someone one-on-one, this is the journey that I would take them on to overcome that specific issue. But they don't have to wait for it, right? They don't have to wait huge wait lists like what occur with trying to get in to see a psychologist or whatever. So whether it also reduces the cost barrier and a location barrier, availability barriers. So I see the use of AI as an even supercharged version of that. It bridges the gap for people who can't access therapeutic supports due to cost, due to location, due to availability, all that sort of stuff. Another thing that I liken our programs with is scalability, because once those programs were built once, they can then reach potentially millions of people and really make a significant impact in their lives without me as a practitioner having to burn out or being limited by the hours I have in the day. So again, AI supercharges that. And from a scalability perspective, I think it's really important. Support between sessions could be really beneficial as well, like just ideas on unpacking things, maybe exercises, learning more skills, practicing skills that they're learning in therapy. Where I see challenges is, and I've played with AI even for my own therapeutic benefit, what I find is that I can effectively use AI because I know how to prompt it. I know what therapeutic tools to tell it to lean on or to draw its responses from. There are times when it has been overly validating. I don't know. Is it overly validating or like?
Well, there's
the
potential sycophantic. In the past, there have been some things where it's overly agreeable.
Yes. Well, yeah. And I was going to say it's like it has the potential to concrete my role as a victim.
Well, yes. Echo chamber does really stand out. Like it has the ability to do that. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. There's also other things that could be really cool as well. Like I think having creative ways of using AI is amazing. Say, for example, if someone's a really big journaler and you upload your journal entries into AI and ask it to identify key themes, key patterns, what am I missing? What could be the top things I could work on, or those kinds of things, where it's really good at pattern recognition that we as humans might miss, especially if we're distorted in maybe an emotional lens. There's so many innovative ways AI can enhance what we're
And
doing,
it's
but
moving,
there's
moving so
there's
quickly.
also a
Yeah.
lot, yeah, there's also a lot that it can't do, and that I think no matter what, no matter how good AI does, we as humans are energetic beings who have a soul. And AI can simulate compassion. So AI can like use the right words that would be compassionate words that wouldn't help us to feel better. But it actually, at an energetic level, it doesn't have a soul. It's not a sentient being. So it can't feel, it can't relate in that human sense that a human relationship can. So I think there's a lot of drawbacks. Over-reliance. I find that
Yeah,
therapy
100%.
and coaching is, I mean, in the work that I do, I'm very open with my clients and saying, my goal of working with you is so that you can be empowered to be able to move through circumstances and situations yourself, not to be dependent on me, not to be reliant on me. But I find that with AI, it's quite addictive in it can become an idol in our life where we run to AI with every problem that we have, which actually disempowers us. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the things that kind of come to my and privacy concerns, I guess. Like if I was uploading my journal entries and my really personal private stuff, I mean, where's it going?
Well, I
How's
mean,
it be?
absolutely. Yeah. And so I think the biggest thing, and because I've been a lot more involved as a user to the point of wanting to create and host and build or fine tune my own AI. And jumping into this space, it's phenomenal when you jump in and learn more, you realize how much you don't know. And I think at the base of all of this, it's a large language model. It's a predictive, the way it's created is to predict the next word after the next word after the next word, based on some very incredible and powerful science and mathematics and all of those things. But what it's sort of come into, it's a lot more than the sum of all its parts. And that's why it can make people feel like, wow, I really am talking to someone that cares about me, especially from a healing point of view. And so some of the larger frontier models, so probably the most popular, you'll be talking about OpenAI. It's all hosted on their servers. It all goes to their data centers and everything's there. All the compute is there. So when you talk about privacy, yes, every interaction, what you say to it and what it says back to you is all hosted there. But interestingly enough, and at the time of the recording, sort of mid August 25, there was a major change from the suite of GPT or OpenAI's models into one overarching model. So from 4.0 to 0.3, 0.2, all of these different things into just Chat GPT-5, which does the whole lot. And one thing that really happened and was really surprising, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is when we spoke about before, and let's go earlier in the year, there was an upgrade to Chat GPT 4.0, which is less of a reasoning model or a thinking model. It was more of a conversational and fast acting, but it had a lot more human qualities. It turned to a point where it was, in the view of OpenAI, too agreeable, because it would agree to anything that you said, almost to the point of it would cheerlead any decision you made, whether it be good or bad or indifferent. Now, that model itself in the more recent past got taken away completely and replaced with just this one GPT-05. The uproar of people missing 04 or 40, and myself included, because you can notice the subtle change. 40 had a bit more of a warmth when it spoke to you versus ChatGPT 5. It really goes to show, and one of the biggest things that I've heard Sam Altman talk about outside of, AGI or super intelligence is the fact that people are using ChatGPT as its therapist. And he's very surprised at how much people are using it and how much people just simply don't care about the privacy anymore because of that sort of need to use it. And I'm one of those people that journals on the platform every day just to record what I'm going through. Again, as part of that experiment of how can this be used in this way? And the way it actually can really assist you is the ability for you to feel seen, heard, understood in a non-judgmental environment. Because it's not sitting on the other side of a trade. It's not sitting on the other side of ego needing to be right. It's not, there is zero buy-in apart from being a helpful and friendly assistant to the user. And so it can really use that sort of language. And it's almost like it's got such a deep understanding of so many things that you could ask it pretty much anything and it will come back to you. You could be as simple, even if you don't know how to prompt, you just sort of say, I'm having trouble sleeping. What do you think it might be? And it'll start to talk about the physical symptoms versus potentially emotional symptoms. And if it's ever had that sense that you're wanting to talk spiritually, you might talk about that, or nervous system. It has the ability to talk into all of that. So it's available to you at 2:30 in the morning. If you go back like 3 episodes, right, or 2 episodes, we talked about that person reaching out wanting to fix something at 2:30 in the morning. Well, I mean, time is irrelevant to an AI, so it's available there. And so when you talk to it more, it will lean in that direction that you're talking to. Out of all the billions of parameters it's trained on, it's learning from your conversations which way you kind of want to go. That could be incredible. However, all of this that I'm saying has an incredible downside. Because you think of algorithms, you think of recommended videos, you think of all of these things where you're just sort of being sent what you want to hear. It will do that. So if you use AI as the expert in the room, great. But if you use if you use the AI as the everything in the room, you're stuffed. If you lose the ability to be a critical thinker, if you lose the ability to only listen to your instincts or your intuition, only if the AI says, yes, you can, oh, that's dangerous. If you only lean on AI because there is only ever reinforcement, and it's a constant echo chamber. And then so based on that, you will only talk to AI and nobody else, then we've got a problem. So there's this thing where it can be really incredible as a tool. And to give you an example, I like it. I've used this in other examples, but I'll stick to this sort of analogy that when GPS navigation first came out, it was great. So long as it was accurate, right? You put in an address, it will just take you there. No more bloody holding up a map, flicking from page 1 to 3 to 15 to whatever to try and trace the route. It was all sitting there, street by street navigation. It was fantastic. What's the one thing that GPS did not do? It didn't tell you where to go. And I think that's the real thing. When you use it as a tool, if you just jump in the car and say, GPS, where should I go? Then that sounds moronic. When you're using AI for healing in that space, that sort of says, I'm broken, tell me, what's my fix? That's not necessarily the case. You can't be using it in that way because it all has to come from you internally. You are the instigator. You are like the AI system, no matter what you use, at the moment, when you're interacting with it, you're the prompt. You start the conversation. And we can't lose sight of that. It's a tool. And so I really do feel that the reach that AI can do, and especially as people will start to build models tuned in that area of healing, it will be a game changer, because it already is. And the funny thing is that some people have not experienced the level of being seen, heard, and understood like they do now when it comes to AI. And when they form that attachment, that's the problem. But it's incredible to sort of think that these people, and I'm going to say myself included, haven't seen that level of being understood. And so it's sort of like, okay, but it doesn't mean that I would not go out and find that in human connection. I just know it's possible. But, you hear about people talking about marrying AI and loving AI and all of these type of things. Yeah, the emotions can get very deep because it acts like someone you're talking to, especially when you're using voice mode and all of that. So it's really about that, really, you are the spark. It is all internal in there. It will reflect what you want. Now, when you get to a point where it can become too agreeable, too much of an echo chamber, you can change what you're saying. And this is something that I do reasonably often. And I use, especially in my journal prompts, right? I think I've been doing it for like 3 months now. In one chat, there's just every day, I'm just telling it information. And every now and again, I'll say, in the context of being my best friend, I want you to tell me what I don't want to hear. And it will just spit it out. Because it can do it. It's got access to all of it. Because there are some times that you just want to be seen, felt, held, all of those things, like a great listener can do. But sometimes you need that. Now, but again, it has to be up to me to be in the driver's seat of all of this to do it, as opposed to it already pre-programmed into AI as of now. But this is what's got me so excited about it, because this is where I'm looking at how AI works, what it's doing, and how this AI in the future, something that's modeled on doing this specifically, can help people without it being, being within like an allied health professional network team for people, not being the replacement of all of that.
Yeah, it's an adjunct.
Yeah, well, that's a big word.
It's really interesting because an adjunct is as well as alongside a helper. Okay. Mental health, like in terms of even psychiatric medications, antidepressants, SSRIs, those kinds of things, they were only ever initially created to be an adjunct to therapy. And the risk is that people go, oh, gee, this can help me. Now I don't need therapy because I will just use this. But that was never what it was intended for. It was actually intended for short-term use to be able to equip and support you enough to do the therapy required to be able to not need it anymore. And so that's how I see this AI playing out.
Look, 100%. I mean, I'd love to get to a point where, and this is something I'm working on at the moment, whether I'm successful or not, I don't know. The future will tell. Imagine taking everything that we're talking about, your programs and all of that, and putting it into a fine-tuned AI built on someone else's language model, largely. Like I'm not competing with any of those, where it does this. And it actually is tuned in that, because like you take an AI that doesn't necessarily need to know how to code in Python or whatever it is. It doesn't necessarily need to know all of the physics when it comes to, Nobel Prize winning thoughts and, but you just sort of fine tune it in this one area where it's talking about mental health, nervous system regulation, the ability for you to take what's in your program and have, a little, like a subject matter expert on everything we've spoken about and nervous system and all of that, spirituality, Ash's favourite topic, astrology and tarot. Yeah, put that all in there, right? And then you can have your journaling and all of that, and it can talk to you in that way. I think that would be incredible as a way to get from, say, first gear to second gear. It's not going to take you all the way to your top gear, but it's there. It helps. And, yeah, but gee, I could see the pitfalls because, again, a bit like that medication.
Dangerous. It's kind of like, you know how the idea of social media was to help us be more connected, but yet people have never felt lonelier because their lives,
100%.
Their lives are a false, faux, deceptive version of connection. And so rather than, you know, we went out for dinner earlier this year and there was a table with a whole family of about 16 people, like extended family, grandparents, whatever. About 16 people at this table, 3 generations, grandkids, kids, parents, grandparents.
Gotcha.
And every single person at the entire table, from the youngest child to the oldest adult, was on their phone. Completely disconnected, completely out of the here, completely out of the now. So they actually didn't experience that dinner. They didn't experience the gifts that dinner gave them. They were all on their phones. And it was so interesting that my kids were like, whoa, look at that family. Like, they're not even talking. They're not even engaging. They're not even connecting. And it was really cool for my kids to be able to point that out. But that's a reality, is when you have something that preys on the vulnerability of a human need, which is to feel seen, heard, and valued, to feel connected. But the human is vulnerable because they haven't had that need met and don't know how to get that need met in a healthy way. The risk of attachment to outsourcing that need to something that actually pushes them further from connection, further from relationship to a sentient being is actually, to me, a very, very dangerous thing.
Oh, it's scary. And AI is getting us so close to that. And Grok, so XAI, right, is now creating, let's call visually appealing avatars as well now. That you can take that and it then becomes your companion. And you can talk to it. So the level of connection there when you're looking at something is bringing it closer to, you know, what you're sort of looking for. But it's still like your dream car in a showroom with you and like glass in between the car and you. It's never going to get to that point. It's not going to get to that point at this stage until you start to get into some incredible robotics where, look, if you go back to the video of Will Smith eating spaghetti, that was one of the first widely spread AI videos that was done 3 years ago. It looked horrendous. It was hilarious and horrendous. Like, yeah, this AI is going to take over the world. Look at the video it's creating. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it, but it is hilarious. Now, AI video in 3 years has become so good that we're probably a year or so away from not being able to distinguish the difference between normal and like real versus AI generated. So yeah, we are getting to a point where if you so choose to, if you've already given all of your power away, you now have a perfect device that will give you so much so long as you hand over your power. But again, like you talk about this people at a table, in the past, before social media and before smartphones, I used to love having, every now and again, I'd sit at a coffee shop having chats with mates and all of that, and then see in the corner of a coffee shop or somewhere, there'll be these 2 people. Normally, they're a little bit older, and the male is typically nose into a newspaper, fully up in front of him, and the other one is, you can sort of see is, a partner, normally female, rubbernecking to the table beside to listen into what's going on, trying to live vicariously through through that. They're not connecting.
No.
And it's not the technology's fault. That disconnect already exists. It's just that they've now got something there. So you think about that table that's just got everyone nose deep in phones. Chances are they're doing probably one of two things: soothing themselves because the anxiety of being out's too high, or so addicted to the dopamine hits of whatever it is to keep them entertained. And look, I've even found myself doing it. I'll be watching TV, watching YouTube, and then I go up to go to the bathroom. What's the first thing I do? Pick up the phone, take it in with me. And I think to myself, oh, hang on. I can't even last, a couple of minutes without a screen in front of me. I was like, oh, okay, a little bit subconscious. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. So look, yes, AI, incredible double-edged sword. It can be used incredibly as a tool, and you can also allow yourself to become the mercy of this thing as well. So everything we've spoken about in this podcast, this show, this series is the radical self-accountability.
Yeah.
And everything starts with you.
Yeah.
And as we explore outside of that, it's about taking these new technologies, these new ways of thinking and all of these things to help progress that, but knowing that the spark always comes from within. Because humans have lived many years without AI. And from my point of view, AI is not going anywhere. So you're going to have to adapt to it. It will do some incredible things. It will also be used for incredibly disastrous things. But
I also think that something that I observed, which is actually one of the reasons I doubled down on our personal mastery membership, it's 150 it's 150 Australian, 99 US a month, and we have a live coaching call with me every second week. That's it's a ridiculously cheap way to access me, but it's more than that. It's about building community. Because the consistent thing that I hear from people, even our self-paced courses was one of the things that I was really conscious of in going, I don't want to add to the problem. I don't want to make healing an isolated experience. And so we have a whole entire schedule of co-working sessions where the idea is let's bring together all these people who are struggling, who are working on these things in their own lives, regardless of whether they're trying to overcome grief or anxiety or PTSD or whatever it is. Let's come together as a community of people who are wanting to heal, who are wanting to do better, and actually connect. And it's the best that we can offer at this point in time is Zoom, because it gives us the capacity to be able to offer Zoom sessions in different time zones and various different locations and all that sort of stuff. But it's still such a powerful thing that, I think we've got currently 10 different co-working sessions scheduled across the week up to 8 p.m. at night, our time, where people can just jump on and be in community with others and not alone in their journey. So AI can't really offer that. And I think after COVID in particular, I feel that people more than ever want to be connected. They want community. And so I'm really curious to see how it plays out. And it's moving so quickly that we're having this conversation in August 2025. I will be so curious to see what's happening in this space even by Christmas, or by this time next year. So watch this space, and
it's going to be huge.
Yeah. And if you do want to jump in any of the programs or jump in, get support, just head to our website, because you can get a free 15-minute consultation with our program specialist, and their job is to support you to understand what your needs are and help you to map out the pathway for you to be able to get those needs met and get the support you need in a really, really healthy, connected way.
And look, the other thing I would say as well is that if you're already using AI in the way that we've spoken about, or you're curious about using AI in the way that we've been talking about, let us know if you'd like some assistance on how to use it in a way that we believe would be healthy. We haven't got the resources yet, but let us know if you want. If we get enough people, we'll create it. Right? Doesn't have to be something massive. But just put in the comments. Let us know if you are using it. Let us know how you feel about it, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. So Ash, till next week. Bye bye, or should we say bye?
See you guys.